Hello everyone, welcome to the AskDrKan Show. This is episode number 65 and we're at Monday, July 24th. Can you believe it? My oldest is actually back to school today. Summer break is officially over. So this is the 65th episode of the AskDrKan Show. Every Monday at 12:30 Arizona time, we bring you information that's going to help you solve your health puzzle. And people usually consult with us from all over North America through FaceTime or Skype consultation and virtual consultation. And people usually come to us after they've exhausted all other options. Usually our clients are people who have chronic health condition, chronic fatigue, chronic thyroid issues, chronic digestion issues, and they've searched all the different specialists, including go to specialty clinics like Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic, and nothing's worked for them, and then they swing all the way to the other side. They start to seek out natural alternative treatment like acupuncturist, naturopath, nutritionist, and nothing's working until they finally find us. And we have over 100 video testimonials, life-changing video testimonials at our website at AskDrKan.com. So the reason I'm telling you this is to let you know that you have hope. Despite what you tried, if you're still not feeling well, there's something that you can do. You just gotta find the right solution and treat the root cause. In fact, you gotta treat the root cause of the root cause. And so today on this episode, we're going to talk about the best supplement for your thyroid problem, okay? And it's anything but the thyroid, okay? But we're going to talk about the best supplement if you have a thyroid problem. How do we actually go about solving a thyroid problem? Now, many people, after they've gone through multiple doctors, the doctors tell them, hey, all your lab tests is normal, despite you having thyroid symptoms still. And most people start to look online, they started Googling to see, what you can take. And Google is both a blessing and a curse, right? With information on the internet, it's not regulated. People can just say anything and become an expert. And so you have people just searching online and you find these articles that maybe makes a lot of sense to you on the surface. They'll talk about all the symptoms that you have. Oh my gosh, this article described all of my symptoms of low thyroid. I have fatigue, weight gain, hair loss, cold hands, cold feet, dry skin, dry hair, brittle nails. I have depression, anxiety, constipation. This article describes me to a T. So right away when you see symptoms that describe you, obviously you become attracted to it because you say, wow, this is describing me. What do they suggest about fixing this? And they may offer some type of solution, natural or otherwise. And because you resonated with a symptom, then you automatically think the solution they offer will work for you. And I want to tell you that symptom is exactly that. Your symptom is just something you feel. For example, if you have headache, right? Headache is a symptom. Symptom means something you feel. So if your head hurts, you have the headache symptom. Now, what could cause headache symptoms? Well, dehydration for one can cause headache. If you banged your head today, you knocked your head on the countertop, that can cause headache. If you have stress, that can cause headache. If you have neck problem, that can cause headache. If your prescription eyeglass is not fitting properly, that can cause headache. If you have a sinus infection, that can cause headache. If you have high blood pressure, that can cause headache. If you have low blood sugar, that can cause headache. If you have a tumor in your brain, that can cause headache. I mean, there are 100 different reasons for why you have the symptom of headache, but having the headache symptom doesn't tell you what's caused that headache symptom. On the same token, just because you have low thyroid symptoms of fatigue, weight gain, hair loss, cold hands, cold feet, it does not automatically mean that the problem started in your thyroid gland. You may have thyroid symptoms, but thyroid symptoms are usually secondary to something else going wrong in the body. Meaning the thyroid symptom may have started as some other issues that's eventually spilled over and created a thyroid problem. So if you're treating the thyroid symptom because you saw an article on the internet that describes your symptom about thyroid, and therefore you follow the advice for the thyroid, you may actually not get there. You may actually not get better. In fact, it can actually make you worse because the problem may not be in the thyroid gland at all. In fact, most of the time, it's not in the thyroid gland. Your thyroid gland, think of it as like a regulator. Okay, it's regulating your metabolism. It's speeding it up or slowing it down based on the needs of the body. It's trying to help you, right? Your body is amazing. It's built to be intelligent and self-healing and regulating. It has its own thermostat. It's able to regulate itself without your conscious control. And thank goodness, if it's up to you, you screw it up, right? Because we're not smarter than our Creator who made our body to be marvelous. We can't control all these autonomic function and enzymes and the hormones and neurotransmitters. We cannot control how those things are made. They're made automatically. When you think about the trillions and billions of chemicals and chemical processes in the body and the proteins and things that are produced and regulated by the body, you start to have this, hopefully, an appreciation for how amazing your body is. And therefore, when it breaks down and it doesn't do what you want it to do, something terribly has gone wrong in the way of an interference with that system. Now, if you have an interference within that system that's trying to regulate itself, the body's going to compensate. And that compensation process may show up as a symptom for you. You don't feel well. And part of that symptom may be low thyroid. For example, if you're sick and you're stressed and you're just running on all cylinders and trying to do 5 things at the same time, trying to meet a deadline and still take care of aging parents and still volunteer at church while you're dealing with a bad relationship and some finance issues, you're just running, you're stressed out of your mind and your body just running and spinning its wheel. Guess what? You're going to blow a gasket if something or someone doesn't stop you and tell you, hey, you're doing too much. You need to take a break or take a vacation or just prioritize and say no to certain things in your life so that you don't blow a gasket, so you don't create a nervous breakdown or just literally have adrenal fatigue and break down. Hi Marie, good to see you. We have Joyce that's joining us. Thank you so much for watching. And we have Diane Sanchez. Good to see you again, Diane. It's been a while. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the AskDrKan Show. So again, if you're running your system down as a compensation process of your body trying to protect you and regulate things so you don't just break and die, your thyroid might actually slow down its function to slow down the metabolism, so it's forcing you to feel tired, so you can't do much, so you'll sit down and actually rest, so you don't overwork yourself into death. So that may be a compensation mechanism, right? Just like when you have a fever, fever is a symptom. Fever is not the root cause of your problem. But guess what happens? When you have childhood illnesses, right? When your kids have fever, you take them to the pediatrician. What's the thing that they give you? Oh, you have a fever. Take Tylenol, acetaminophen to control the fever. Well, why the heck do we want to do that when the fever is your body's response to an infection and you raise body temperature in an effort to inhibit pathogen reproduction and inhibit pathogen enzymes so that you can actually kill off the pathogen or inhibit its progress. So fever is a symptom, not the root cause. So when you take Tylenol to treat the symptom of the fever, you're in effect slowing down your body's ability to fight off the pathogen and therefore get better. On the same token, when you have low thyroid symptoms, it just means that your thyroid gland for some reason is not able to either produce the hormone or you're not able to absorb the hormone. So very important to understand that. Scott, my man, thank you for joining the show today. So thyroid function. So you have thyroid hormone here, thyroid gland, and your thyroid gland spits out T3 and T4. So this is an active hormone, and this is an inactive hormone. And remember, TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually not made by the thyroid gland. It's actually made by the pituitary gland, which is a hormone gland in your brain that produces thyroid stimulating hormone, and that in turn stimulates the thyroid gland to make the actual T3, T4. These are the thyroid hormone. TSH is not the thyroid hormone. So if you're interpreting your lab test, if you have lab test on thyroid panel, TSH is not your thyroid hormone. This is it. Now, as your body makes this hormone, T4, the inactive hormone, has to be converted into the active form. And once it's converted, it has to be carried by a transporter protein. This transporter protein is called thyroid binding globulin. So that has to carry it to the cell, and on your cell, you have receptors, and this receptor is like a lock and key. So the thyroid hormone, T3, have to latch onto the receptor and therefore enter the cell. And once the T3 hormone is able to get into the cell, then your cell will start to be stimulated to carry out more metabolism. So what I'm showing you here is a very basic schematic of thyroid physiology. It's to show you that there's multiple steps for you to experience good thyroid function, meaning that you could be making the hormone just fine, and when they do blood tests, in effect, what they're doing on a blood test, they're measuring these hormone levels, T3, T4. But guess what? You can measure the hormone levels, but you cannot measure how much is entering into the cell. You cannot measure that. You can only determine that by taking a very careful history and knowing what other things are going on in your body. For example, checking your stress hormone level, checking your insulin level. Those things all have an impact on whether your thyroid hormone gets to be utilized. So how much you make from your blood test, right? We're measuring how much your thyroid gland is making the hormone. Does that mean how much thyroid hormone is being utilized? Utilization is much more important than the actual production. Production is how much you make. Utilization is how well can you use what you make, right? It'd be like you have money in a bank, but your bank account's frozen. You can't use it. Your ATM card doesn't work. That sucks, right? And that's what happens for most people. It's that you're making plenty of the hormones. That's why your doctor said your lab test is normal, but yet you still have low thyroid symptom. You got the money in the bank account. You just can't use the money in your bank account because the hormone either cannot be transported or it cannot be converted from inactive to an active hormone, meaning the money is in pesos and it has to be converted into a US dollar before you can use it, and that conversion is not working. So if the conversion is not working, then you don't have US dollar. All your money's in peso, which doesn't work at McDonald's down the street in the United States. And then once you convert the money, you have to be able to transport that money into your wallet, right? You actually have to get it into your hands. And then it has to go into your cell so that you can actually spend it. So all these steps have to happen. So when you are taking a thyroid supplement, what are you really doing? What you're doing is you're trying to fix this. And the problem, as you can see, most of the time is not here. If you're taking thyroid hormone, thyroid medication, right? People think I'm taking levothyroxine, I'm taking Synthroid, I'm taking Nature Thyroid or Armor Thyroid. This is thyroid medicine. It's going to medicate my thyroid and make my thyroid work better. It doesn't medicate your thyroid. It doesn't make your thyroid gland work better. The thyroid medicine is nothing more than hormone replacement. It's giving you a hormone that your thyroid gland normally makes on its own, but for some reason you're assuming that it doesn't because your doctor did some lab test and they say, oh, your level is low. If that even show up. If they tell you your level is normal, that means that's not even your problem because you have just fine, just okay level of hormone. You're making just the right amount of hormone, but maybe you can't convert it, and maybe you can't transport it, and maybe it won't go into the cell. So if you're taking a thyroid hormone, you still feel lousy, what can you conclude? Well, you must conclude that you have enough money in the bank, you just can't use what you got. And therefore, putting more money in your bank while your bank account is frozen, you can't get to it, it does you no good. In fact, if you keep taking the hormone, when you already have plenty of hormone in your system, you're going to cause your thyroid gland to actually shut down because of this receptor negative feedback loop. It's going to cause your own thyroid gland to stop making the hormone because it's perceiving, I got enough hormone, I don't need any more. And it's going to shut down. So it's going to actually make it less effective. Okay? So back to the topic of today's episode. What supplement do you take for your thyroid? Guess what? It has nothing to do with the thyroid. It has everything to do with what is actually happening with you. Because for one person with thyroid problem, the problem may be a conversion issue. It may be a blockage right here. Or you can't convert the pesos into a USD, US dollar. So then you got to fix that conversion problem. And that conversion problem happens primarily in the gut and the liver. So that's your target, not the thyroid, if you have a conversion problem. Now for another person with identical symptom of weight gain, hair loss, fatigue, perceived thyroid problem, for the other person, maybe the problem is happening with this receptor. The thyroid hormone cannot enter into the cell. If you have a receptor problem, then again, taking more thyroid hormone, we're only creating more receptor downregulation, receptor resistance. It'll make it to further not work. So taking a thyroid hormone or thyroid supplement or thyroid anything won't work because the problem's in the receptor level. So how do you address that? Well, for this person, for this receptor problem, it may be due to an insulin problem. Insulin resistance can block thyroid hormone from entering the cell. Cortisol, inflammation hormone, stress hormone, can also block thyroid hormone receptors. So then we got to address why do you make too much cortisol, which will be due to inflammation, stress, infections can do it, and toxins can do it. These are the underlying causes of these stress hormones being released. Insulin is pretty straightforward. It's going to be due to insulin resistance, which is dietary, right? High carbohydrate, high carb, or sugar in your diet. Some people, in very rare cases, have insulin secreting tumors, but that's like 4 out of 1 million people have that. Rare. That's not your problem. It's usually because we're not eating correctly, right? So you have to address the actual cause. For every person, the root cause is different. It's possible you can have multiple things going on. Maybe you have a gut issue, you're not digesting food properly, you have leaky gut, and you have a liver issue because you're toxic. And you have some kind of inflammation and stress, and your diet is poor. It's possible. In fact, that's usually the rule. That's usually what happens. Most people have multiple things going on. So then we have to have a priority system of assigning importance. What's most important, what's second important, what's third important for that particular person. And everybody may be a little different. Now, the number one reason why most people have thyroid problem is actually due to an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease means your immune system's attacking your own body. Very abnormal when you have that. When your immune system's attacking your own thyroid gland, that's called Hashimoto's. You can also have Graves' disease. That's much less common. Hashimoto's by far the most common. So if you have Hashimoto's, what that means, your immune system's attacking the thyroid gland. It's killing off your thyroid gland. So therefore, you have less and less thyroid gland to make hormones with. Therefore, you become more and more hormone deficient, not to mention the inflammation from the autoimmune attack blocking things and causing issues. So he said, so because Hashimoto's with the immune system's attacking the thyroid gland, that's when I take something for the thyroid, right? I mean, it's a thyroid problem. That's when I take something for the thyroid, like thyroid hormone, thyroid supplements. Wrong again. That's when treating the thyroid have no effect on that. Unless your gland is so damaged from years of having Hashimoto and you just have no gland function left where none of your thyroid gland is viable anymore and is no longer able to produce thyroid hormone, then you're going to have a thyroid hormone deficiency. Then yes, you need to take some thyroid hormone to make up for the fact that you don't have any hormone. That's where the thyroid hormone comes in. However, even in that case, taking the thyroid hormone does not treat the underlying root cause, which in this case, with Hashimoto, it's an autoimmune disease. What that means is the thyroid gland is getting beat up by the immune system. The thyroid gland is just a victim, you see. It's a symptom, it's not the cause. The culprit or the cause is the overactive immune system that's abnormally attacking the thyroid gland. So how do we address that? Again, not by taking a hormone. It doesn't address the autoimmune component of Hashimoto's. You must address the immune system. So how do you address the immune system then? You start with gut health, leaky gut. That's the most important thing. You start there. Blood sugar stability, also very important. And then it's about the underlying root cause, which will be infections, toxins, things like that, which is really common. So, but as far as dietarily, leaky gut, blood sugar issues, and you can modulate the immune system by using specific nutrients like vitamin D, glutathione, essential fatty acids like fish oil. So there's several things that you can do to help balance the immune system when you have autoimmune. But you must address leaky gut. There's a test you can do, blood test, very sensitive. That will measure if you have leaky gut. Medical doctors, typical medical practitioner don't test leaky gut. The problem is if you don't test leaky gut, then you don't know if you have leaky gut, and therefore you can't do a pre and post to see if your leaky gut's gotten better. And having leaky gut makes you more predisposed to having Hashimoto autoimmune and thyroid problems. In really reality, most people with thyroid problem, 90% of the time have Hashimoto's. That's the root cause. We got to start with that. Got to start with the test. We also got to make sure your blood sugar is stable. If you're low blood sugar or high blood sugar, either way, it won't work. And we must eat in a way that's conducive for having healthy blood sugar level. And then we got to make sure your vitamin D sufficient, that if you have inflammation, we need to up the glutathione level, essential fatty acid. And most importantly, after we address the dietary part, remember eating healthy is really important, but eating healthy does not get rid of an infection. Eating healthy does not get rid of a toxin. So you may need additional treatment. You may need specific things to target those things. The problem is in the conventional medical model, chronic exposure to toxin is basically not looked at. Like there's zero focus on it. Because the way they see toxicity is only in acute poisoning. Like if you drank a bottle of Clorox today, yeah, that's a medical emergency. Call Poison Control Center, go down to the hospital, have your stomach pumped. That's what they consider toxicity. But what most of us have is chronic, gradual accumulation over several decades, over the course of our lifetime, that's built up to a level that's now becoming toxic. It's not overnight that's got there, it's over time. And that's something they don't look at. They don't test it, and there's no drug for it. The only way to get rid of these toxins is by avoiding, right? First you have to know, so we have to educate you, to teach you what are these toxins that you have in your system so you know to start to look for those things and start to change what type of product you buy, cleaning solutions or a personal care product. Start to avoid things, right? Buy organic. So the best way to detox is to not be exposed in the first place. So you have to learn about that. And medicine have no focus on it. Secondly, then we have to use very specialized techniques and tools to help your body eliminate these things on a natural basis, sustainable basis. Because there are many detox techniques out there that you can look up on the internet that frankly either don't work or it's too darn dangerous. If you pull stuff out too fast and detox too aggressively, you can actually create more symptoms and flare up Hashimoto's more. Other things where it just doesn't work at all. So there's a balance here. In the future episode, I'll go in more detail about the detoxification process and some of the myth that may be perpetuated in the natural supplement industry, which is quite a bit. Okay, so we'll talk about it in a future episode. But hopefully this helps you. What supplement do you take for Hashimoto, for a thyroid problem? Realize that most people with thyroid problem have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. In that particular case, you got to address the immune system. How do we do that? Address leaky gut. How do you do that? Well, there's specific way that you should eat that's going to help your gut heal to eliminate offending foods. So there's a video you can request and an eating plan. You can go to, what's the website's name? AskDrKan.com/gut repair. There we go. AskDrKan.com/gut repair. It's a free guide that'll help you with leaky gut using scientifically proven nutritional compounds, high quality stuff that you can help to heal gut. That's your first basis. And the eating plan itself will help with both of these issues here. And then there's a protocol that you need to follow in order to help you to support your immune system. Now this is something that most everybody can benefit from. Now this is not a diagnosis or a treatment of a medical condition. We're not here to diagnose you. This is for education and informational purposes only when you go to AskDrKan.com/gut repair. And these supplement recommendations are general for a general health and support, is not to treat, cure, or manage any medical disease. However, for most people, this will support normal physiological processes. You may still need to have some type of lab test done, and if you need that help, you can contact us. That's what we're here for. Okay, you can call 480-988-6269 to get started with a case review. That's your best first step. Don't guess on your own. Don't mess with it. Somebody that can direct you and guide you. You're going to have the best chance for success. I have a question coming in from Instagram. Can a nursing mom take vitamin D? Absolutely. In fact, you need to make sure your vitamin D is sufficient. Because even during pregnancy, and that in fact most people during pregnancy is when this Hashimoto things happen, because your immune system has a Th1 system and Th2 system has two branches. And during pregnancy, when you swing from the first 2 trimesters to the last trimester, your immune system kind of do this shift, kind of like your hormones does this shift too. And that shifting immune system sometimes can cause your immune system to dysregulate. And many women will experience symptoms of Hashimoto either postpartum, or they'll feel better during pregnancy, or they feel worse during pregnancy, either or, because your immune system is swinging in such a way. So vitamin D is crucial for pregnant mom. In fact, in most of your prenatals, you're going to have some vitamin D, but I suspect that may not be enough. You should have your vitamin D level tested even during pregnancy to see what your levels are and make sure you're sufficient. What is sufficiency? In my book, 80 to 100 on that blood test for vitamin D, vitamin D3. And the medical range is 30 to 100. But if you're like 40, that's really too low to be good. It's kind of like, 30 or below is getting an F in class, and 100 will be getting an A in class. If you have a 40, it's like getting a D in class. Well, you didn't fail the class, but you're not passing with flying color either. So you got to get an A in vitamin D, and that A will be 100 to 80, 80 to 100 on blood tests. Okay, hopefully that helps you. All right, I want to thank you all for tuning in. This Tuesday, do we have a workshop? No, this week we don't have, but next Tuesday we have a thyroid solution workshop, so you don't want to miss it. If you haven't been to that, I promise you, it'll be the best hour you can spend. I mean, you can watch Shark Week, but not as exciting as watching me talk about thyroid, okay? So next Tuesday at 5:30, please call 480-988-6269 to register, or you can do so online at AskDrKan.com. We'll put the link on this post. And keep an eye here. Please share and like our video so that more people can learn about how to actually get healthy and avoid the pitfalls and myth that's existing in medicine and natural medicine today. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.